please remind everybody to turn off any devices that you have with you, please. Begin with Athletic Director Gene Taylor and his comments, followed by new head football coach Chris Klieman.
All right, well, everybody, thank you for being here. Obviously, we're very, very excited. I'm very excited. I think we're all very excited to introduce to you the gentleman sitting next to my right here, Chris Klieman, as our next head football coach. I'll kind of walk through the timeline, a little bit about how I got to this decision. Personally, I've been watching him coach for the last 3 years here, and each year he's impressed me more and more. I've had an opportunity to get to know him, obviously, personally, and have just really grown to have a lot of respect for him and how he coaches his football team, how he treats his players. There's a reason I'm in the locker room. There's a reason at halftime and pregame and postgame. There's a reason I go to practices. I learned a great deal about our coaches. And certainly watching Chris grow in this role, made a tough decision leaving his alma mater and came here and has become a true Bison without any question at all. So Chris and I had a couple of conversations last week. I met with him on Monday briefly for about 20 minutes. At that point in time, he said, Gene, all I want to do is be the defensive coordinator and figure out how to beat Coastal Carolina. And he did that, and I said, okay, let's talk later in the week. He came in on Thursday. We met briefly on Thursday. He said, Gene, I want to express my interest in the job, but can we not talk about it until sometime after the game? And I said, no problem. And last night he came over to the house, and we had a great conversation for about 3 hours. And at the end of that conversation, actually at the beginning of the conversation, I felt really good about him. At the end of the conversation, I felt even better about him being our next head football coach. The other part of it, I just wanted to make sure that the Coastal Carolina coach was right. So, yeah, you don't have to go with that one. But ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to turn the microphone over to our next head football coach, Chris Klieman.
It's a special day for me and my family. Been a dream of mine to be a head football coach, and I'm 47 years old. I've been around the game a long time. I've been around this conference and this level of football an awful long time. And when I started talking to Gene about the job, the more I talked, the more I got excited about it. And I just knew it was the right time and the right fit for me. Change is always hard. Change is really hard, and I had that 3 years ago when I came here and left my alma mater and came here. And I'm so thankful for Craig Bull for giving me the opportunity and taking a chance on me, because I didn't know Craig. Craig didn't know me. We had a couple people that knew each other, knew of us, and knew of each other, and said that they'd be a good fit. And he took a chance on me, and it really worked out. And first year we had great success, and then Scotty left, and I was the defensive coordinator, and that was change as well. And now it's never easy. Coach left last week, and I credit our players. Our guys did an unbelievable job last week. They kept focused. They did a great job of taking really care of the task at hand, and that was to get ready to play Coastal Carolina. And I had a lot of things spinning through my head at the time, but our kids did a great job. Our leaders, our seniors did a great job getting those guys ready to play. Obviously, first guy I want to thank is Coach Bull for giving me the opportunity. The next guy is Gene Taylor for taking a chance on a guy that's, for the most part of his career, been a defensive coordinator. Had 1 year as a head coach at a Division III school, but for the most part, I've been a defensive coordinator, defensive guy, and I know that's sometimes tough to take a chance on somebody that hasn't had that head coaching experience, but I believe I've got a great rapport with the kids. I think the relationships that I've built with the players, I'm excited about getting to know the offensive guys better, because it seems like all I do is work with the defensive guys. And also want to thank those players. We're all here, and when I say we're all here, you know, with Coach Bull's opportunity at Wyoming, with the assistant coaches' opportunities on this staff, we're all here because of what these players have done over the last several years. In this business, it's hard to stay put for a long time with it. And I admire Coach was here an awful long time, but change was good for him, and change is potentially good for all of us. And I'm excited about the opportunity and our players and the assistant coaches here. I've got great friends on this staff, really, really great friends on this staff. And all the players love each other on this team. And that really became evident to me this week. And all the coaches love the players. And I kind of took all that in this week as I was going through a lot of things in my mind. And, North Dakota State's a really special place. Bison football is unbelievably special. And I've been a lot of places in the Missouri Valley. Coaches kind of heckle me and call me Kurt Mo Valley Klieman at times or two because I've been in the valley for a long time. But this is a special, special place. And at the time for me and my family loves it here. I've got a beautiful wife, Rhonda, 3 great kids, Devin, Haley, and Colby. And we love this place, and we don't want to leave. And we'd like to continue the tradition. And I know it's going to be hard. This job's going to be tough. But as a coach, you love the challenges. You love to be challenged by it. And I think our kids it's obvious our kids love challenges. And our kids accept the challenges as well. So I'm very, very pleased that my dad, Bob, and my brother, Scott, who've been with me for the whole ride, have joined me here today as well. My mother, unfortunately, is not feeling well. She's kicking herself right now because she didn't make the trip, but I love you to death, Mom, and thank you very much. I'll take any questions.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions one at a time. Please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, please, for our audience.
How you doing, Coach Klieman? Obviously, Jamal Spencer, Valley News Live. I was wondering if you had any time to ponder who might be added to your staff or what of your friends who are assistants would stay here.
Well, I haven't had a whole lot of time, Jamal. Obviously everybody has ideas of people that they would like to have work for them. I'd like to talk to anybody on this staff because I know how important Bison football is to a lot of these assistants, and I'd like to talk to some of those guys first and then open it up afterwards. But that's the challenge that I face right now is we'll have no problem finding great coaches that want to come to North Dakota State. I know that. My challenge is getting ready to beat New Hampshire, and that's going to be my focus for this week.
Coach Don Izzo, WDAY, when did it click in your head that you wanted to take on this responsibility?
Oh, I've talked to Craig a lot about wanting to be a head coach sometime, and never knew if I would be ready. You never know when you're ready. I've talked to some other head coaches within the profession of when do you know you're ready? Well, you don't. Sometimes it just gets your opportunity. It comes with it. And so late in the week, after visiting with my family a little bit, it kind of set in my head that I need to present something to Gene that shows him that I have a vision for where this program is going to continue to go. We've got a great program here, and you don't rebuild at North Dakota State. You continue to reload, and that's what we've got to be able to do.
Fox. Did Coach Bowl ever confront you about possibly going with him to Wyoming?
Oh, we've had discussions, like he has with all of our assistants. He wants to make sure everybody knew where he was at with things. And, I had an opportunity, and I just had to weigh those things. And it was just time for me at age 47 that if I want to lead my own program, it's hard to find head jobs. It really is difficult to find head coaching jobs, and I think this is one of the top FCS jobs in the country. And so the timing was right for me.
Obviously, your role is going to change a little bit as a head coach. Can you address that a little bit? How you plan to adjust to that?
Well, I won't be adjusting until 2014. I am going to do what I do right now, and that's lead the defense and be a defensive coordinator and let Coach Bull lead this football team. And I think that's really important for everybody to know that when today ends, I'm going to go back up and sit in my office, and I'm going to grind out a game plan for all those defensive guys that have faith in me to do that, as well as the other defensive coaches, to make sure that we come up with a great plan for for New Hampshire with it. So right now my focus will be on just getting ready for New Hampshire.
From KFGO, Gene, the question for you, you didn't open this up to the outside. How long did you know that Chris was your guy?
Well, like I said, I mentioned I've been watching, Chris for the last couple of years coach and been very impressed with him. But, at some point I needed to sit down with him and look him eye to eye and say, Chris, you're stepping into a big job. It's not going to be an easy job by any stretch of the imagination. And I needed to be convinced that he was ready to do that. And after our meeting yesterday, and we had a chance to, I asked him a lot of questions and confronted him on a few things, and he gave me what I thought was an excellent game plan in terms of where he saw the vision to go. And it didn't take me long into the conversation really to figure out that he was ready to be the guy. So had I thought a lot about it, yeah, like I said, I've been thinking about this probably the last couple of years that this day was going to come. But you're never sure until you get a chance to sit down across the, and a lot of times it comes to a gut feeling. And that ultimately, throughout the conversation last night, in my gut, I said, okay, I think he's ready, and I think he's going to be a great fit, and I'm glad he's sitting next to me right now.
Chris, when did it ever occur to you to take this job that, as Gene said, that an opportunity may open up for you, that when you left UNI, that a head job maybe at NDSU would be available for you?
No, not at all. Really, no. I came here eager to meet more people in the coaching profession, eager to jump in and be a Bison, and all the players really accepted me well. All the assistant coaches really accepted me well, and my family grew to really like Fargo, grew to really like the area, and so my son's a sophomore in high school, and he loves it, and here at his school, and I learned something from a guy that not many people know, but the guy's name is Dick Mosley, and Dick Mosley was a secondary coach with the Green Bay Packers for years and years and years, and he was in his 60s when I met him, and I was a grad assistant at UNI, and Mose I still talk to. He's 85 years old, and he still coaches defensive backs in a high school in Florida, so this guy's got energy. And he said, coach where you're at for today. Coach where you're at for today. Don't ever worry about tomorrow. Don't ever worry about tomorrow. You coach where you're at today. And today's a new day, but each day I've been here, it's been a blessing to be here.
What have you learned since the last time you've been a head coach? Obviously, going back to the assistant level, what are some of the things either at UNI or here at NDSU that you've learned about being a head coach here the second time around?
Well, I think you take things from everybody that you've ever worked for, not only as head coaches but as assistants with it. And I'm not going to be Craig Bull. I'm going to be Chris Klieman, and that's. I think that's good. I think that's okay. I've learned so much from Craig. Craig's the best leader I've ever been around, as far as just a genuine leader, tells you exactly how it is. And the one thing I've learned is shoot straight with people, and people will can deal with the consequences with it. If you're honest with people, they're going to appreciate it. It may not always be what they want to hear, and I think Craig does a phenomenal job of that, of being honest with the players and being a tremendous leader. And one of the things that I feel I am is a very good leader. I think I've shown that to the guys on defense, and now I'm ready to step into the challenge of leading a team.
Are you confident the recruits that NDSU has had verbals from will honor those verbals, and what are you going to do to ensure that they do?
Well, I need to get on the phone with those kids. It was until I knew what was going on, until everybody did. I think there was some uncertainty out there, but I hope that a number of those kids chose NDSU for NDSU and for the academics they're going to receive here, for Bison football, for the tradition of North Dakota State, and I look forward to talking to those young men and their parents.
How do you go about balancing that as well as getting prepared for the rest of the playoff run?
Well, there's only so many hours in the day, and you got to pack it all in there. My wife will make my lunch and throw something in there for dinner and say, I'll see you late at night, and I'll find some time. And but I've got to reach out to those kids, but I also have a responsibility to the players here to make sure we have a heck of a game plan. We're very fortunate here at NDSU. We have so many leaders and so many veteran kids on our defensive side of the football with it that no matter what plan we come up with, they'll be able to implement that plan because they've seen an awful lot of football in 3 years, and we're going to battle again against New Hampshire with the same guys that we went and battled with Georgia Southern the last couple of years and Sam Houston the last couple of years. They've seen a lot of things, and so I'm confident that those guys will be able to take our plan that we develop as coaches and be ready to roll with it.
Craig often mentioned that Tom Osborne was his mentor or his idol. Do you have that similar type of coach in your background, Chris?
I've had so many people that I've worked for. You know, my idol is my father. You know, my dad's been the world to me, and I'm so happy he's here to share it with me. I love you, Dad. You know, Terry Allen's a very, very good role model for me. Craig is a great role model for me. A guy by the name of Bill Wilt that was a defensive coordinator when I was at Western Illinois. Randy Ball when I was at Western Illinois, Missouri State. I've worked with some great people. That's what I think prepares me pretty well for this job is I've worked with so many different people, so many different head coaches that I've taken some ideas from that I'm able to implement into my plan, into my vision, and that's what I need to be able to do.
Look around the room, you can see the players on this team who came out to support Coach Klieman. It's clear that they have strong feelings for him. How much did that factor into your decision?
Well, you know, certainly continuity was something that I thought was important for this program. You know, very similar, I thought through the process of when Tim Miles left and the team that you know, Saul eventually took over and had a very similar conversation with Saul. You know, are you ready to take on this team? And I think continuity was important. I did have a few conversations with some of the players, and they expressed that. And, you know, that's not the only reason, but when you tie that continuity and then the presentation he gave, then to me it was just a perfect fit and a perfect time for him.
Chris, what do you foresee as the biggest challenge going forward?
Well, making sure that we keep the commitments that we have, making sure that we keep all the kids here. You know, once again, I hope people choose NDSU for NDSU and for the tradition of Bison football. But I understand that for at least for the last week, there was a lot of uncertainty in a lot of kids' minds. That hopefully some of that has been put to rest with the fact of the culture of Bison football is not going to change. You know, we're going to do what we do on defense. I'm just not going to call it and run it. We're going to do what we've had success with on offense. What Coach Vegan has built on offense is a defensive coordinator's dream. Stand on the sideline and and watch the offense grind it out like we did yesterday with it. So very important for me to keep that culture offensively to make sure that we are going to run the football. We are going to be a physical team. But those, you know, there's some challenges. I've got to find some staff and those things. But there's got to be the right fit and the right niche of making sure that they match what the Bison football and Bison pride is.
Do you have people in mind for your staff?
I do have some people in mind, you know, but we'll go about that at a later time.
Chris, you've got an amazingly passionate fan base. What's your message to 18,000 people that fill the dome each week?
My first message is get out there next Friday night because we need you next Friday night because, and I told Jeremy this after the game, that was a huge difference for us with the fans yesterday because our defensive backs and linebackers were able to hold their look and then move right when that quarterback clapped his hand because there's so much crowd noise here that an offense can't really implement their normal game plan with it. But in general, that I love being a Bison. I know how important Bison football is. I know the tradition of Bison football. I don't know it as well as a lot of the guys that have come before me. I understand that. I've been here 3 years with it. I'm not going to even begin to say I know it as much as Viggs and Fuchsie and those guys that have been here forever. That's I'm not that. But in the same respect, I've learned from those guys too. You know, from some of those assistants that are on the staff that this is their alma mater of how important Bison football is to not only the fans, the alumni, the community, and I intend to embrace that. And we're going to keep the traditions. We're going to keep the pride of Bison football going. You lose 24 seniors. It's going to be it's not going to be easy. But but I would never look at any of those. I see a couple guys back there right now that are juniors that are going to be seniors that I'd say, hey, we're going to go after and try to win again next year too. It's not like we're going to, hey, sorry guys, we have to rebuild. No, we've got to reload and we got to make another great run with it. So I feel, to the Bison Nation, I'm excited to be here. You have a guy that is passionate about football, that is passionate about the community, that is passionate about the university, that's going to do everything in his power to make sure that this thing keeps running smoothly. But I know it's going to be tough. But if I'd have gone to Wyoming, that'd have been tough. There are no. If there's an easy job, somebody tell me where it's at.
By the way, I want a little discrepancy. The quarterback from Coastal Carolina didn't think it was that loud in there last night, so I want to make sure our fans realize that.
Chris, I think history will look at Craig eventually on Earhart, Martin, Salmson, that kind of legendary status. Any reservations following that kind of a figurehead in this program?
No question. No question, Jeff. That's without a doubt. It's hard to follow what Coach has done. It's really hard to follow what Coach has done. But it still comes back to my desire to be a head football coach. And I still think this is, and it is, one of the top jobs in FCS. And so my opportunity is presented, and I'm excited about it. One of the guys that you mentioned was Daryl Mudra, and I played for Daryl Mudra. Mudra was my coach for the first 2 years of college with it. So I understand how important the tradition is, and I'm excited for the challenge.
Talk about playing for Coach Mudra. What was that like?
Well, he was in the press box all the time. He'd come down and quote Socrates to us if he got to practice. Most of the times he was out fishing or out hunting, and then he'd come at 5:30, say a few words, and leave. But Moods was awesome. You knew what you got with Coach Mooder. If he didn't like you, he'd yank your scholarship too. But that was back in the day too, in the 80s.
Did you talk to him about this job?
No, I did not.
You plan to?
I'm sure I will reach out to Coach.
Coach John Lee, KNDS. Just wondering, you said you want to keep tradition, you want to keep things generally the same with Bison Pride. Is there anything we might see that might change now that you're the head coach and Coach Bull's gone?
Haven't had a lot of time to think about it, to be honest with you. I think the first thing I would say is if there were changes, people would say, wait a minute. We've won 2 national championships. We're on the cusp of trying to get a 3rd one. I understand it's not broken. We're not going to try to fix it. I just think there's just going to be a new face at the front of the room with a lot of the same ideas, with a lot of the same passion. And so, no, I can't see anything right now that I would say, boy, I'm going to make sure and adjust to this.
Jared Madenwald, also with KNDS. What are some of the advantages to making this announcement now as opposed to at the end of the season?
Well, Chris has touched on a little bit. Obviously, to calm a lot of the, not fears necessarily, but just a lot of the questions out there from the, potential recruits, commits that we have to some of our current players. And then really just for everybody on the staff, eventually everybody's going to know who's going, who's staying, what the situation is going to be. And they can just kind of get back to, coaching together and like they did last week. But I think the sooner the better. The more you wait, the more questions. You guys stay up at night trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And but more importantly, really just if I knew Chris was the guy I'm going to hire, then let's not wait. Let's get it hired. Let him get back to what he does and needs to do, which is be the defensive coordinator. Let players know who the future coach is going to be, and let them get back focused on Craig and the staff that's currently here. So the sooner the better, and it worked out great that we could do it today.
You going to open up practice to the media, Chris?
Not this week.
You talked about Dick Mosley a little bit. Did you grow up a Packers fan then, by any chance? Or?
Well, to all the Wisconsin guys that are on our team, yes. To the Minnesota guys, no. But yes, I was a Packer fan.
Gene, was there something you needed to hear from Chris last night to, I guess, put you over the top to say, I'm comfortable going forward?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that he knew what he was getting into and felt comfortable stepping into those shoes and had a plan, and he did. I mean, there was a lot of passion when we talked last night, and that's kind of, people ask me about that, and a lot of times it comes down to your gut, and at some point, like I said, I just felt that it was right. And there was a lot of things he said about the job that I thought were really important in terms of the technical side of the thing, but it was more just about his passion and willingness and understanding. Following Craig was not going to be easy. So, yeah.
Coach Morgan Lubin, Bison Information Network. You probably haven't had much time to think about it, but what do you think some of the emotions or some of the feelings you'll be feeling when you pound that door open for the first time next year here at home in the Fargo Dome and all the fans are cheering and you lead that team out of the tunnel?
It'll be a great feeling. It'll be really exhilarating, something I'm looking forward to, but we'll take care of the task at hand with the current team and these guys, and I'm excited next Friday to be on the sideline when the lights go out, because that still sends chills up my spine as an assistant waiting for our guys to come out. I guess I'm really looking forward to that moment, because I know that that'll be a moment that I'll really cherish, because the following year it'll be me doing it at the other end.
Gene, how many other candidates did you talk with about the position?
I didn't really talk to a lot of candidates. Spent a lot of time on the emails, or not emails, but the internet. I had a lot of calls recommending some folks, and those that looked like somebody I would consider, I certainly looked into, read their bios, went on to as much information. I probably looked at 20 people that I thought would be good candidates, and every time I would look at their information, I would say, okay, why is this candidate any better than Chris? Or are they any better than Chris? And what do they bring to the table that's different than Chris Klieman? And every time I came back to, so far, nobody has been able to do that. And there were some quality folks that I was looking at. Didn't talk to an individual. In today's world, you now talk to representatives of individuals. That was a little unique. But at the end of the day, I felt confident that Chris had the ability, and there was nobody that I really looked at that brought any more to the table than Chris did.
Any other questions at all from the media? Okay, thank you. We will have a few players in the room here that are available for one-on-one interviews, and thanks for coming.